Hello, I'm Austin Campbell. Welcome to another episode of the Chicken Noodle Podcast. It's a long time coming. I usually don't have many guests unless it's my wife, but today I have a very special guest, and it is Chef, former...
Leave that out.
Cut that.
Leave that out. Let's mention nothing of that if we can.
All right. Hello, my name's Austin Campbell. Welcome to another episode of the beautiful Chicken Noodle Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Campbell, and I'm here with my brother, Andrew Blackbirch. Andrew, how are you doing?
Good, besides nobody calls me Andrew, you fuck.
No. No, I'm sitting here with my brother. He goes by many names. Some people call him brother, and we share the last name, and it's a wonderful thing. So, my brother, for those of you that don't know, is a man of, you don't know where he's going to be. He is a man that may pop up anywhere. He may pop up in your city, and if so, you should probably run for the hills. But today, he's with me, and I never have to run from the hills because he keeps me protected and safe. And we're back here in St. Louis, and this has been a long time since you've been, well, not, I guess, a super long time, but a long time since we've seen each other, but a long time since you've been back in St. Louis. And we were roaming the city last night, and it was really nice because when it got dark out, I saw you turn into like almost, I wouldn't say Batman, but more like the Joker,
I'm a different animal when I'm in St. Louis, that's for sure.
Yeah, so you're you are a chef,
Uh-huh.
and that is something that I can't really do. That is a very fascinating thing. I mean, I can, cook things, but you are a very good chef, private chef, and I think when you're a private chef, I feel like you're not that many handshakes away from a very, high profile celebrity. Would that be fair to say?
Sometimes, I mean, it all depends on your clientele.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody with wealth can have me. And I mean, I have done like a ton of like doctors and lawyers and just people like normal people. Yeah, maybe generational wealth though.
Yeah, generational wealth would be nice.
Yeah.
What is one of the clients that... No, let's start this. I've been wanting you to ask this question. I've been wanting to ask you this question ever since I saw you. It's been 9 years since I've seen you.
Mm-hmm.
And I already knew what the first question I wanted to ask, and it was slipping my mind. I waited all yesterday, and I waited all today, because I think this is going to be a real hard one for you to answer. Have you slept with more women or beat up more men?
Fuck. I'm gonna go the latter. I've definitely slept with more women.
Okay. Because whenever
I've lost a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I'm stronger than I am when I go on the attack.
You have to be ready to go to war, though, and you're always ready to go to war, and that's what's so admirable about you, and it's noble to a sense.
I mean, I'm getting older,
Yeah.
I'm getting older. But yeah, last time, I mean, like I was telling you, I mean, obviously we had like a ton of conversation before this podcast started. We had some good material we missed out on. But as I was telling you, like, I was boxing and like just turning 37, still boxing. You're like, fuck, it's too much.
Were you holding up? Because boxing is different than street fighting.
100% different. I mean, I would say it's easier to street fight. Not as safe, obviously, but like,
Right.
I just like boxing and being me, like obviously they don't know, but I've gained a ton of weight, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not as nimble as I used to be. And just like remembering the dance that is boxing is very hard when you're not as light on your feet, you know.
Yeah, you have to be worried about pointing someone up like.
Yeah, I gotta wonder how Butterbean did it sometimes.
A Butterbean?
Yeah. Do you know Butterbean?
I know Butterbean.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a very I'd say if you were bald and you'd have to have no hair on you,
No
minus
tattoos.
the tattoos, and put on some more weight, and then you'd
that's
be
flattering.
up there with Butterbean.
Yeah.
And so you are a proponent. You have been to Thailand. You're a world-renowned traveler, and you are going back to the gig, grind out some months in the prison, and then in the prison that we all live in, the prison that you go to and clock in every day, to get more.
Matrix.
Yes, yes. Is it real? Is it not real? So, what country, if you had to, if it's too hard to give me a number one, as far as food goes, what country is your favorite? Do you think has the best cuisine?
Okay, I have multiple answers to this question.
Okay.
Food in general, Tokyo. Not necessarily just Tokyo's cuisine, but just the food and scene in general. Any chef, even Anthony Bourdain said that in a podcast, Tokyo or Japan is where every chef would have the same answer. You take any chef around the world, they'll say the same thing, Tokyo. It's just a different level there. And then,
Tokyo.
Yeah, and then, naturally, I lean towards certain cuisines that I like more, I was traditionally French trained, but obviously I ran 3 Mexican restaurants and kind of did a fine dining spin on it, so, I don't know, I like a lot of food, look at me.
Yeah, those of you that, don't know my brother, he was, when he was young, he was very, very massive, and he was a real force to be reckoned with. And then he, he's very nomadic, so, I don't ever know when I'm going to see him again. And so he left for, some odd years, went out to the West Coast and came back, and he went from, what would you say your heaviest was before you went out?
Probably 420 pounds.
420 pounds, and don't let that, he'll still bull rush you. Do not let the weight fool you. And he came back, and he was about 190 pounds, and it was one of the craziest transformations I've ever seen anyone go through.
Actually, not that it's a big deal, but 175 at
175
at my lowest. At my lowest.
Yeah, rep that, and that just was such a transformation, and that really speaks to, with all the with everything an outsider might see and think about you, how to get very disciplined and go to war with yourself.
One of the first things I heard when I was deciding to lose weight the first time, because my weight has fluctuated. Recently, obviously, I broke my legs, so I put on more and broke my legs for the 5th time.
Carried a lot of weight.
Carried a lot of weight. And, one of the things I remember telling myself when I was losing weight the first time was, if my head was underwater, what would you want? You would want to breathe, right? So I just told myself, if you really want to lose weight, you'll treat yourself like your head's underwater.
Right.
So that was my big thing for discipline, motivation back then.
So that was the biggest thing, because I've just read David Goggins' book, and it's really motivated me. I've got my membership back at the gym, but he he laid out, one of his biggest motivators was when he dies, he wants to make sure that if there's a chart that comes up on the list of the life that was mapped out for him, and he was I don't want to have not met any of the accomplishments like Navy SEAL and all this stuff. So yours was, one of your things was, if you were getting drowned,
if your head was underwater,
you would want to breathe.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I felt with the weight loss thing. Obviously, as I get older, I care less. Obviously, trials and things have happened.
Right.
And my job in general, being a chef, it's hard.
Yeah, you're around a lot of food.
I'm around a lot of. Don't trust the thin chef. That's what they say. That's what they say. So.
Yeah. So the weight loss, so that transformation was you became a vegan for a while.
Yeah, a long while. Actually.
Long while, because when you came back, we started working together, and I was just hanging out with you all the time. I would just eat what you ate, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm vegan now. And honestly, it was not. I got. There's a lot of people when they hear about vegan, they're like, oh, this is you don't get any energy, blah, blah, blah. But I remember you always used to say plant power.
Dude, I was the strongest I'd ever...
Yes.
I mean, I was lifting dryers by myself, washers by myself. Like, I mean...
And yeah, so those people that are like, oh, you don't get this and this from it, I'm like, listen, I've witnessed it. My brother was eating nothing but plant power, and he was... strong like bull.
I mean, a lot of conceptions is just that, like, there's no protein in plants. And then you go to, like garbanzo beans, chickpeas, all the beans, all the legumes, even broccoli is very close to steak when you count, like, protein per gram. And people don't understand that or realize that. I mean, there's protein in everything.
Right.
So
protein, you'd say, like, that's, like, if someone was to go on, like, whatever kind of diet, like protein is like essential for human diet.
Definitely. I mean, it's important. I like, to my understanding, people that are much healthier than me that I've watched on YouTube or anything, you're supposed to eat your weight in protein in grams. So if I weigh 300 pounds right now, I'm supposed to eat 300 grams of protein, but nothing else. Like, just protein. Like, you only need carbs when you're, like, before an exercise, basically.
Yeah, I eat a lot of carbs.
Me too. That's the problem.
They're so good.
Delicious. Probably the best thing ever invented. Yeah.
Now, you are very experienced in the culinary world. What is, like, if you had to give me your favorite dish to make, or let's say the best dish that you can make, what are some of those answers, or if you just have one?
Everybody asks this question. Like, everybody you meet, it's the same as when I meet people and they're like, "Did your tattoos hurt?"
Dude, so I'm that guy right now.
You're that guy right now. But to answer that question, I mean, favorite dish to make, subjective. I mean, there's a little bit of an egotistical side that comes with being a chef. So when everybody comes in and goes, ooh, ah, or whatever, or when they come back in the kitchen specifically to talk to you or call you out to meet you, that's always flattering. And then your best dish should always be your last dish. The last dish you made should always be your best dish.
That's a good, you see? If your head's underwater, you would want to breathe, and your best dish should always be your last dish. We're rolling right now.
Net.
So you deal with clientele. Well, when you make a dish, it is like I was watching you break down this video when you were in Thailand, talk about someone's food you had tried, and it was really nice the way, because I could tell how much that you enjoyed this person's food, or just everything that went into it, and the culture and everything that went into this food. Now, so it's a very, you're putting your heart and soul into something when you make it. What is the worst thing that a customer has ever done to, like, a dish you made that, like, just insulted you, or just a terrible...
Okay, this is a funny story. I have two.
Okay.
Because, people leave reviews or whatever. So, we'll get the small one out of the way first. Small one is somebody wrote, like, I would never take... Well, basically, first he was just like, I wanted Mexican food. I didn't want fine dining. Or I didn't want Gordon Ramsay's version of Mexican food. Verbatim, that's what he said. And first of all, that was an insult to me, because Gordon Ramsay plates like shit. He may know how to cook, but he plates like absolute dog shit. And anyway, so I'm like, yeah, that was an insult right off the jump. But the people started attacking him in the comments on my page, like my loyal, faithful followers at the time. They were like, Drew's great, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't take it. And then he started backstepping. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't take away from, like, Drew's abilities. I'm just saying, like, I want, regular Mexican. I'm like, just an uncultured heathen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't realize, like, what I put into some of it. Like, when I put the cochinita pibil on my menu, I named it Mayan currency because I did enough research back that the Mayans used to use their barbacoa as currency. Like they would trade it for other goods, beads, gold, stuff like that. So.
And this guy is saying, I mean, Gordon Ramsay's version of Mexican food is a wild thing to say. I mean, just because like that's like if you were just like. That guy is like talking out of his ass because it's like, do you really know that much about the culinary world to like accuse someone of that? Like, probably not.
Right. Well, the biggest critics have the least talent, and that's how food reviewers became a job. But
it's true.
Anyway, the other scenario that pops in my mind was at the same restaurant at about the same time, and this one's really funny. I'm gonna kind of lead you into this. So this lady had some kind of weird obsession with me. Like, I guess she was mad I was getting the private vegan chef's like business in St. Louis, and she was trying to be she just said she's a chef. Never worked in a restaurant in her life. No culinary experience. Housewife. Chef Steph. Okay? Unless you go through the pain that I've gone through, thousands of tickets on the floor, like you're not a chef. And I mean, there's a lot of things like obviously like especially today, I could go through a whole thing about the generations of how like when I came up cooking versus how it is now that irks me. But getting back on Chef Steph. So she came into the restaurant on opening night, and we were obviously busy, and there was a whole heap of things going on behind the scenes. Basically, the owner's kids worked for him, and they were refusing to help me cook because they didn't want to do it, and they were sitting.
Owner's kids.
They were sitting on buckets while I was cooking, and I was doing the line. I was doing the fryer, I was doing the saute, and I was running around plating my stuff at the expo window, and I was lapping the servers, bringing food out.
I mean, the owners kids are just sitting there on buckets.
Yeah.
Like the peasants they
Well, they were supposed to be helping me cook, right? Anyway, so it goes on, everything's going pretty good. Like one of the servers like tells my girlfriend at the time, your boyfriend's like crushing it out there, and like all this, So everything's going pretty good opening night, and I mean I did a ton of numbers. I changed that restaurant's whole game. Like I basically took them, and these numbers aren't going to sound high to people that are in other states, but like in Missouri, and keep in mind this was like 2018. I took them from doing like $5,000 a night to doing like $9,000 a night, so that's a $4,000 increase.
Yeah, it's almost double.
Not a night, I should say the weekend nights to be fair. So like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But so Steph's in there with her husband. That's another story. I had issues with him. And so he actually, before this even happened, he waited for me in the parking lot one day. And I don't even remember the words that were exchanged. But, I just got done healing from, like, my thug mentality when I was younger, And, like, he said something to me. I was like, look, you live in O'Fallon. You say some shit like that to me again, I'm going to wreck you. You know what I mean? Like, respectfully, I'm going to hurt you. So,
and that's big because usually if someone were to cross you like that, you don't usually say respectfully.
Oh, I was trying to keep it professional because the job and I had media, I had like news coverage and shit, and like, so back to what I was saying with Steph. She's there, and they eat the food, and somebody came in, the owner's wife, and she's like, "Hey, we just got a." That one lady, like she knew the deal. Everybody knew the deal, who this girl was, because she'd been like, internet warrior. And she's like, she said it was like surprisingly good. And I go, oh, surprisingly good. And then I go, let me send her a free plate. And then I took my middle finger and I put it on a plate and I just sprinkled chili powder all around it. And I walked it out there myself, and I go, there you go. I hope that's surprisingly good. And I walked back into the kitchen. So
that's great. I mean, that's so true about critics. Is people that don't have talent critique. Everyone that's a critic, they usually want to have been a chef, but they can't cook, or something. They have a dream that they can't chase, or they're incapable of. They don't possess the talent, so then they think that they can just critique, and their word is gold.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like, I got into the chef thing on accident. Like most people, I was young. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. You went to barber school
going to barber college, and guess how I was paying my way through barber college? By cooking. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, I'm just paying to go to college to make money when I'm just making money cooking. Mm-hmm. And the lazy side of me took over. And then the more I learned about cooking, the more I was like, oh, I do like this. And that's when I had to go to California because I wasn't learning much here.
Yeah. You can only learn so much, probably, where you can, not that you can only learn so much, you can probably learn a lot more out on the West Coast.
Well, not only that, but like chefs in general, unless you go to a fine dining restaurant, like they kind of want to keep you in the same place. They don't want you to advance.
Right.
Because here's the problem: if let's say I advance somebody, right? I've had people stage for me, which is, for those of you who don't know, you work for free for a day to, like, see that I can hire you, basically. Or now, I mean, some people abuse you and have your stage for 2 weeks for free.
Oh, that's crazy.
Back in the day, that's how it used to be. A lot's changed, and again, that's coming back to how, like, things have changed. Yeah. But yeah, back in my day, you'd stage for up to 2 weeks for free before you were even allowed to take the job. They want to know you're going to stick around, that you're good, and you know what you're doing, that you can listen, you're capable. But a chef will typically keep you in your position, or no higher than a sous chef, because he doesn't want to lose you. He doesn't want you to be... It's very hard to keep employees in this industry. That's
because it's like, on one hand, you want to, like, I'm sure as a chef, like, you want your people to succeed, but also what that means for you is, like, someone's gonna walk out the door and go do something,
100%.
Like
that's what I did.
Better. Yeah,
that's what I did.
And you're no stranger to that.
Right. So, I mean, I had some beautiful moments, like, in California when I started learning how to cook, though. Like, when I told them I was leaving, like, they all gathered around and toasted me. Like, we all... And, just the camaraderie. I was speaking about this yesterday when we were, messing with that bartender, kind of, But the camaraderie of, like, everybody going out in the industry together, and, like, everybody being, like, such a tight-knit unit and team, and it just used to be a lot better than it is now.
Yeah, and I always sense that stuff just changes over time, and the camaraderie with things, like, just always is just not as good as it used to be. I just always think back to old jobs I've had, or old, whatever, and I don't know if that's a proponent of me getting older or if the camaraderie has just changed.
It's changed, I feel like. I mean, just everybody, nobody wants to be here. We don't want to work, people. Right. Nobody wants to work.
Right.
If you say you want to work, you're a liar. Yeah, you say that to cope with your existence. Trust me, I've been on islands in Thailand and been rich off $5,000. You will not work if you don't have to.
Yeah. I need to, for my sobriety, I need to go to war with myself, and that's my new hot term, is going to war with myself, because it's so accurate on what it is I need to be, like, successful. But that being said, I'd be more than happy to do that in other ways without having to go to work. I mean, it's good for me to, go
100%.
do something. But
when they say people like Elon Musk works every day and stuff, I'm like, no way. I wouldn't. I mean, he's a fool then. If like, there's no way I could be doing that.
Yeah, it's weird because you get to a point where you're like, okay, when is it enough? When are you going to stop? Because I'm sure if you would have told Jeff Bezos when he was selling the Kindle books, before Amazon was, like, ever a big thing, he was door to door selling, the Kindle books, that they would have they've said, hey, I want to make $10 million and then I'll get out. Mm-hmm. And he would have probably said, yeah, that's the plan. But then you just get to a point where you're just like, more. I need to go to space. I need to do all these crazy things.
I mean, the way I see it financially is, like, if you adjust inflation for about 7% or whatever, that's on the low side, honestly, of what it'll probably actually be. But, the average American, like my age, will need about $3 million to retire. By the time they're 65, $3 million ain't gonna happen for me. I'm very nomadic and irresponsible, you know. Obviously, every time I save money, I go blow it in other countries. For those of you who don't know, but I'm guessing if I can get a $500,000, I mean, I could probably retire in Thailand on that. So that's my personal goal. I would like to retire in Thailand, but
Yeah, $500,000. That's because the money there goes a long way.
Further. I mean, it depends. It depends on your degenerative habits. You know, I got a hooker problem.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But I mean, but you know, like the first, you know, one of the first questions I asked you, you know, you've been though with many women. So, you know, some people think of hookers as, oh, I can't, you know, how could that guy, you know, get a hooker when, you know, don't you want to earn it? But, you know, you're from the perspective like, listen, I've, you know, torn through it more than any of you guys can even comprehend. You know, I'm done. I don't want to deal with the chase anymore.
It's a convenience.
It's a convenience.
It's the DoorDash of twat. I mean, it is, man. It's a convenience. You know, as long as I know that I have, you know, been with women, they've wanted me naturally without me paying anything, I can safely go there with an open mind and just order some DoorDash trim.
Yeah.
You know, just bring it to me.
DoorDash fried butterfly.
Oh, delicious. Delicacy.
Yes, it is a delicacy. And I do think that prostitution and hooking should be legal in the United States. I'm sure it maybe will one day, but the culture over in Thailand, I mean, when I think about it, that's just what it's built off of.
Yeah, I mean, it's very common. It's kind of like being a Starbucks barista. It's a common job. It's not really, like, frowned upon, you know. To be fully transparent, it's illegal for a woman to solicit it, but it's not illegal for you to buy it. So it works in our foreigner's favor here.
Yeah, that works out for the, you know, foreigner.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it should be just because, like, I watch my surroundings quite often, just out of naturalness of growing up in St. Louis, Missouri. But always watching my surroundings, and you see guys all the time in America, and they're like disgustingly staring at women, and they don't even realize they're doing it, you know. And when you're in Thailand, I see all these guys, same guys, most Americans or whatever, and they're just happy, looking forward, not looking at girls' asses, not, you know, sexualizing every woman that goes by. So
because they know they could, you know,
you can have it for $30.
Right.
I mean, you know, you got $30, you're getting laid that night. That's what it is. So, you know,
that's a lot cheaper than some of the escort services.
That's cheaper than a date, bro.
Yeah, that is way cheaper than a date.
That's cheaper than me taking myself on a date.
Yeah, and that's really treating yourself.
Yeah. Well, Montana, you know, sandwich and a drink is $35.
Yeah, so. The Montana living prices that you were describing to me are more nuts, but I feel like most places are destined for that with inflation. Just maybe some are getting there faster than others.
And I'm in a resort town specifically, so there's a resort tax and there's things to that. But yeah, I was buying a rotisserie chicken, and standard price of a rotisserie chicken around the world, $5 to $7, right? And so I didn't even think. I just grabbed the thing. You know, I don't look at prices. Money's fake. So I grabbed the thing. I take it up to the register, and they ring me out. They're like $20, and I was like, "Excuse me?" They're like, "Yeah, it's $20." And I was like, "Okay," and I just swipe it like Chad. Okay,
not real.
And I swipe it, and yeah, I mean, I paid for it, but I never paid for it again. I'll tell you that. I mean, that's almost a hooker. Rotisserie chicken equals poon.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sure. With your experience, like, how do you not look at everything that you spend? Like, man, we went to the hookah bar yesterday.
$50. That's a hooker and a half.
Yeah, it was a hooker and a half.
That was one hooker and a midget hooker.
Do they have those? I'm sure. Midget hookers.
I didn't see a lot, but I mean, Thai people are so naturally little anyway.
Yeah, so it's probably
hard
more
to tell.
Of a deformity. They're probably just all pretty small.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everything breaks down hooker math in my head now. Like when I get paid, I'm like, oh, I earned a hooker, or I earned, 2 hookers, or I earned 3. 1 hooker, 2 hooker, 3 hooker.
And that's, I mean,
red hooker, blue hooker.
White hooker, black hooker.
Oh, my favorite. The last was my favorite.
The first one probably not your favorite at all.
I can't fuck with white girls anymore. If you're white, stay the fuck away.
But I'm sure, you say that though, but I'm sure you'll take down your fair share of white women.
It would have to be tattooed goth baddie. It can't be like average white girl. Like, I don't care what she looks like. She could be the most beautiful. I can't even relate to you on a level of like communication to where that could exist or work.
It's very. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say it's surprising. I mean, when you get a man of with your accolades and your accomplishments and your age, like you like what you like, and that's
I like what I like. Well, I really like everything. Honestly, I like most people who are not American. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's just what it breaks down to. After the more you travel, you're like, you come back here and like we're just so like divided as a country and a society, and the human connection's so much better when you're overseas. It's like insane. The kindness you receive is
way they treat elders is a whole nother a whole nother level.
Yeah, I was telling you about that. We respect our elders here or what have you, but they go out of their way. They'll step off the curb if one of them's walking by, and it's a great thing. I had some good interactions over there. Like, obviously I had that, and there was like this bus, think of like a double-decker kind of British bus that you would think about or whatever. So it was like a smaller bus, and it was manual apparently, and broke down. And I wasn't on this bus. I was walking by this bus, and all the Thai people get out to push the thing, and this story sounds like a third world country, but that place is not a third world country in comparison. Like, they have beautiful buildings. It's a great place. Check it out. But so they're pushing this bus, and they're barely moving it because they're very small people. There's like 20 of them. And so I go up and I just start pushing it, and the thing starts to move, like get some real traction. Yeah. And then like they yell something in Thai, the driver pop starts to, and so they all get back on the bus, and I keep walking on my merry way. I'm vibing on my highest authenticity and frequency and vibration. I'm feeling good over there. So and anyway, when they drive away, they're bowing to me through the window. I see them, and this is great. It was a warm feeling.
Yeah, because you're quite the spectacle, know. Yeah. And over in Thailand, though, like there's probably not that many people that like look like you. Would that be accurate? I mean,
you got the Australians. They have a lot of tattoos or whatever. But I mean, weight-wise, they're fascinated with me.
Yes.
I mean, they just think
so
it's the coolest
thing. Big
thing.
man, coming up to the bus, and and you're like, you're like, yes.
I have never been stopped so much in a country and asked to be photographed with than in an Asian country. I mean, I'm a big deal in Asia, and nobody even knows who I am.
But did you know what they were stopping you for at first? Like,
I figured it was because of the freakish tattoos, but the more I seen it happen, it's just that I'm a fat American. Like, I mean, I was like, this is cool. I mean,
that would be great if I just ran, started going up to like, Asian people and being like, hey man, can I take a picture with you? Because you're just so Asian, you're so tiny and, and short. And
I had so much fun. There was this one couple was at this ice bar that one of me and my hooks were at, and we're all partying together, having a good time. And this guy, he goes, I'm Japanese. He was Thai, but he kept trying to convince the girl he was on a first date with that he was Japanese, or because I don't know, the Thai people were being funny about both being Thai. I don't know. And I go, if you're Japanese, I'm Japanese. And I tapped the hooker. I was like, tell him if he's Japanese, I'm Japanese, because she spoke good English. And as most hookers do. So she tells him or whatever, and he goes, no, and we had a big laugh, and I was like, I'm buying you a drink. So I bought them drinks, and then I went over and like I took that picture with him. I think I showed you, and like it was a good time.
Yeah, great time. And that can just happen very frequent. I feel like every night in Thailand, can be like that. Just a great night from what you say.
Definitely. I try to live like that everywhere. Like when we were in the hookah bar, there was that bridesmaid party or whatever it was. I don't know. There was guys there too. So maybe not bridesmaid, but like wedding party in general. I said they were having fun. I want to be part of that energy.
Yeah.
I want to be in it. I'm a social butterfly.
Yeah. They were having a good time.
Yeah.
And that was, all black women. That's, what you're looking
Preference.
for.
Preference.
The hooker game in Thailand, so are they all self-starters or are there any pimps?
No pimps.
No pimps.
It's a safe country. No pimps that I know of.
Wow. That is something that I didn't know. I figured they worked for a company. They're kind of like their own like Twat Muncher LLC.
Well, when you add the company thing, so there's different types of hooks.
Okay. The fans are all curious.
Oh, well, let me educate you, gentlemen and ladies. Different types of hooks. So obviously there's bar girls. This is gonna be your most expensive route of fucking a hooker, but it's still cheap as hell. So basically, if you go with a bar girl, she's gonna pull you in off the street. She gets paid commission for the drinks. She gets paid commission. Basically, the bar owns her. Like, it's a contract situation. Kind of like a salary job.
Right.
So if you want to hang out with her all night, you got to buy her from the bar. All this is very affordable. Like, let me break it down for you. So you start buying they call them lady drinks. Okay? You start buying the lady drinks. And they're like expensive there, but it equivalates to like $8 a drink US.
Whatever.
And you only have to buy like 3 of them before she starts talking about going home with you. You don't have to like go crazy. Now, if you don't be careful and you're a sucker, there will be like shots for the whole bar.
Right.
It depends how cognitive you are during these
And they're
interactions.
sizing you up the whole time.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So anyway, you go, you buy the drinks, and then you negotiate with her. Now you can go up to a room above the bar, get it done real quick, and it'll be like the $30 or whatever. Then you, or the other option, which those rooms are nasty. Literally, like I went in one of those rooms one time, and there was literally cum stains all over the bed. It's like they don't change the sheet at all.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah, you don't want to lay in that.
You're no peasant.
Not even for a second. You don't want to lay in that. I always get them to come back to my hotel. You got to pay a little extra, but whatever. It's just better to be in your own environment.
Yeah. Familiar with the surroundings.
Got to take a shit. Whatever, it just makes sense. It's logistical. So, you can buy her out of the bar. That's about 5,000 baht. So that's a little over $100, about 130.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a more high end, this is a more expensive way to go.
This is the expensive route. So you're paying about 130 for the girl plus the drink. She'll be at sub 200 to get her out of the bar into the car.
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't take them out of the bars. Like, if they do, they just take them to a fuck room. There's fuck rooms on each side of that's like what I was talking about with like the cum stain places.
Rooms.
There's like these little fuck rooms everywhere, and you just literally they rent you the room for like 30 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a fuck room. So that's what most guys do because they don't want them coming back to their house or whatever. And then the other way to get hookers is you'll just find them lined up and down the street in the strip. There's certain districts like Soys. Mm-hmm. Soy basically means street in Thai, and there's like all these districts like Soy 6, Soy 11, this, that. So they're in certain soy areas where you'll approach, and usually, again, you don't have to do anything. They're grabbing your arm or they're stopping you. The hookers on the street are a little bit more incognito, so they may not like grab you right away unless they're 100% sure you're not like a lawman, Law dog.
Law dog. You are law dog.
Yeah. Oh, so I want to make this clear to everybody too. You have to make sure that you check if they're a lady or a lady boy. They're much more honest than our trannies. They'll tell you the truth. If you ask, they'll tell you.
Well, because some of ours are delusional and they think like, that they really be, what they're thinking. But, this sounds like in Thailand, like if you just go up and ask them, it's very black and white.
It's very
be like,
transparent.
Yes and yes. That's admirable.
Yeah, which it's good because, you you do that to the wrong person, and you might get beat like you're a man.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, I would
wary.
never commit any form of violence in Thailand because you'd be locked up forever in the worst prison conditions you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to be respectful of their laws and their, everything when you're there. The funny law they have is like, you know, like say you drop a piece of bot and it all has their king's face on it, like rather than the president. And let's say it's blown away in the wind, you step on it, 3-year prison sentence.
Oh, I'm just trying to. So you're trying to save it.
Well, no,
like,
yeah,
from
but
blowing
it
away.
looks like you're insulting the king.
Right.
So, 3 years, boom. They have so many weird laws like that. I mean, I never ran into a lot of trouble, but I'm respectful even when I'm intoxicated. Like, I don't change a whole lot. You know, I might get friskier. I might start tonguing a tequila bottle and looking a girl in her eye. But, you know, I don't.
But you keep it classy though.
I keep it class. You know, I'm a cool motherfucker. Man.
Yeah.
So like, I don't, you know, go too crazy. The only thing one night I lifted a girl. Like we've been partying together, and I just like lifted her and picked her up, and like I seen people around me like move towards me, and she was like, "No, it's fine," because she was telling them I wasn't being aggressive or anything. I was just like playing with her. But
Yeah.
But I did see things start to close in around me.
So, because you were making that one false move, like they had been, you know, waiting for you to make.
Yeah, you know, obviously hookers is a different scenario, but certain things also just like touching the top of Thai people's heads is disrespectful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No attaboys, you know?
Yeah, no attaboy. No attaboy. Yeah, that's very, because the head is like a clean, sacred area, you know. The monks are fascinating there.
The monks.
Some of them monks be thugging.
Yeah.
Bro, like they don't, I mean, it's all about just living life in the moment. So like you think a monk, you're like, oh, holy man, but no, man, some be getting arrested over there and thugging it out. And
Really?
oh yeah, man.
What did they do to get, what's like an example of something like a monk would do to get arrested? Because I just picture them just
beating
like,
hookers?
oh no.
Just whatever.
It's not very monk-like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, not every monk, obviously, but you know, anybody can be a monk, just like anybody can be a Christian or a Muslim or whatever.
Right.
And you know, like, it's like, you know, people are human. We all make mistakes. But
That
I mean,
is true.
Some of these monks are going ham over there. Most of them are. Most of them are very respectful. You know, I don't want to outstep my boundaries by saying these things, but
But so, you know, occasionally you'll have a monk go astray.
you see it on the news.
Yeah.
I mean, it's instant news when a monk's thugging.
Right, because they want to, you know, let people know, hey, this is what they're doing up there.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. A monk just fucking lit everything on fire. Beat somebody with a stick. Right? Yeah, it's you don't want to. You're not supposed to touch a monk, and some of them will punch you if you touch them.
Well, like because they're sacred, or because
I don't know the
Yeah.
whole thing to it. You know, I didn't get too deep into it. I was more
I would-
concerned
I
with
would love
hookers than
to-
culture. But
because I would love to just dap a monk up.
yeah,
up, my monk?
No, I don't even think you can.
No.
Because like people like put their arms around them when they take a photo and they freak the fuck out. You're
Oh
not supposed to
yeah,
touch-
yeah. Because then you feel like the Leaning Tower of, you know, Pisa. Like you're just an attraction, you're a tourist trap.
Oh, dude, I felt like that the entire time I was over there. I even had, you know, Americans wanting to take photos with me. I met this guy, Kevin from Florida.
Shout out Kevin.
Shout out Kevin from Florida. I was at the Labua, which is the hotel off the Hangover, and it was my birthday night. I got upgraded to a 3-bedroom suite. And I was taking the elevator up. And I met this Kevin guy, you know, we were both with girls or whatever. I ended up having 10 that night for my birthday.
What a treat.
I'm glad it was a 3-bedroom suite. There's enough beds for all y'all. Felt like Lil Wayne. So, Young Money. But yeah, I met Kevin, and like he's like, that's a sharp suit. I had a custom tailor-made suit. Made it just like John Wick's, you know, the black on black, you know. Had it go.
Very suiting.
Very suiting. No pun intended.
Yes, very.
And I had the suit made. He's like, hey man, that's a nice suit. I was like, oh thanks. I just had it made. It's my birthday, you know. Hey, I was like, where are you from? I'm Kevin from Florida. Hey man, do you mind if I take a picture with you? You just have such cool tattoos. That's what he said to me. And I was like, yeah man. You know, he approached it very respectful. I mean, he was a good dude. A lot of people annoy me with the tattoo thing when they approach me, you know, and like And another thing that irks me about tattoos is like you'll hear women like, or you'll see like women on Instagram write, oh, you know, a guy asks stupid questions about tattoos, or like, does it hurt and can I touch you? Or they'll just touch you, and they act like that doesn't happen to men with tattoos, dude.
Right.
We get that shit too, and it is annoying. I mean, I 100% understand, but like, I mean, I can't tell you how many people just. Like, some of these people that touch me, even a woman, even if she's attractive, you just walk up and grab me, I kind of want to punch you in the mouth. Like, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I've never hit a woman in my life, but, like, just
But, you know,
got your hands on me for no fucking reason. I don't even know your name. Like, introduce yourself, you know? Like, I'm not just... And they act like they're Braille or something. Like, they got to touch it. I'm like, you don't have to touch shit.
Yeah, because that's like some of them feel like they've just been able to do that their whole lives. They just run up, you know, whatever they want, they can have, and they can, you know, touch whatever it is, you know, they want. But you're like, listen, let's exchange names first. You know, let's get to know each other, and then I'll take you into the fuck room.
Well, I mean, it ain't even necessarily I mean, it does happen, obviously. Like, a lot of them are attracted to those tattoos, which is why I don't believe in relationships, because I only attract toxic women. I'm not going to attract a good woman. Period. I mean, whatever this attracts, it's going to be damn near Satan.
Yeah, it is very impressive because, you know, I am...
Shout out to the ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, shout out. You've created a monster. But yeah, like you know, because I'm, you know, I have a wonderful wife, and, you know, that's just such a different place in my life, you know, than you. But when it comes to the women with you, it's like the only ones that, you know, like since we've been, you know, catching up and stuff, it's like they're just all crazy. And it's just what you attract.
Yeah, I've tried obviously like relationship things, and as you know, I lived with somebody for 7 years. I mean, like, I've had longer relationships, but I don't believe in love. It all fails. I'm not throwing shade on your parade.
No.
At all. I love when people blossom, you know, like our cousin Justin, you know, he's been with his wife since they were 18. That's awesome. Good for them. I can't do it. I can't wake up and look at the same bitch.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and that's all right.
Yeah. But
there's, you know, this country, not just this country, there's other countries that are just built for that, you know, like Thailand, like...
the land of smiles.
The land of smiles.
Everything's a slit and has a purpose. The smile slit, the downstairs slit for the stamping. You're right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's it's very wild. Like, you know, the things, you know, that we attract. And, you know, like, even whenever I was, you know, going through my addiction and stuff, I was always, you know, on drugs, and I would just naturally attract women that were on drugs. And, you know, we were the one that's really fascinating that we were talking about last night was, like, you know, you had a very bad childhood. Childhood's very rough, and you know, you dealt with a lot of, you know, abuse. We can, you know, cut this out or not, but anyways.
You can leave it there. I just don't want to get into everything.
Yeah, no. But the fact of, like, a woman that's getting abused, whenever they stop, like, whenever they ditch the relationship, they will just keep going. They will just find another person to do the same thing. And I mean, it goes both ways also, but it's just so, I don't know what it is, if it's like a magnetic pull or if it's like I don't know what it is that draws us to the same thing or attracts the same people.
That's true.
So we have our cousin Justin. Shout out Justin. I haven't seen him in probably.
He's gonna be driving me back to my seasonal job this time, so
that'll be good.
You know, anything to get away from the wife and kids.
Yeah. Well, he's been with him for 8 years. How old is Justin?
He's a year younger than me, but only by 2 months.
Okay, so...
Like the way it works out, it's only by 2 months, but it's a year younger.
So he's been married just as long as he's been, like, alive. Like, not been married.
Yeah. I mean, he's only slept with, like... hopefully he doesn't see that. He's only slept with, like, 5 girls. That blows my mind. I wish... I mean, I wish for my dick's sake, you know? It probably looks like this microphone. It doesn't. That's the scary part about STD. I have no idea if I have them. Oops. But anyway, I mean, to only be with 5 women is just. I mean, I don't think I could formulate an opinion on marrying a girl based off that. Like, if that was my only experience, like if I was like, oh, one and I'm done. Like, this is it. This is all I need.
Yeah, because you don't get a lot of, you haven't really lived.
I'm not talking about sexually. I'm talking about like emotionally, mentally, like, or just living with someone in general. Yeah. When people haven't lived with people for the first time, and especially like our frontal lobes aren't developed like in our early 20s at all. Like, you're not fully developed, man or woman. What are you gonna do? You're living with another child, and then and then you're gonna make a child and bring that fucking thing into the world.
And that kid's at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
because you let your dick do the talking when you were 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's very. I don't think I don't know, getting married when you're young, I do agree. I mean, granted, if I would have been in the right, situation, then I probably would have done it. But I do think you just need more experience, but hey, I don't know everything.
Look, man, I've been a romantic at heart for a long time. I thought I was a penguin. I thought I was a one-woman mate. I ain't.
Penguins are sick. Love some penguins.
Love a penguin. Love it. Now I just look like the penguin. but dude, there's a clip from the OG Batman, the one with Michael Keaton. And the penguin walks into Catwoman. He's like, just the pussy I've been looking for.
That's so funny.
And people are making memes like, like the goth baddie that treats me like shit, or like, the Thai bar girl or whatever. Just the pussy I've been looking for. So.
So there's some, through the years, you've gave me some great, advice.
This is questionable.
Some of it is great, but one piece that always has stuck with me, that if you said that if I had ever came, I might have to cut this. I don't know. If I do, that's fine. But it was so funny. When you get your first kill, what you want to do is you need to scalp and eat the pineal gland. So funny.
Pineal gland.
Pineal gland. And then another piece of advice that you gave me was when you were, teaching me, like you were, not teaching me how to fight, but you were just like, hey, listen, if you want to bum rush people and get up close.
Get up close. Want to be as close as you can be.
Close as you can be. So whenever I was in prison, we're coming up on an hour, so probably tell this and then maybe ask you another question, then we can, pack up here. But so when I was in prison, there was, like that place, well, it's very, of course, it's very negative, but, it's doing everything it can to try and make you think like everyone is different, like, make you racist, and this is black and white, and you need to stick with this because these people suck, blah, blah, blah.
This is America.
Yeah, this is beautiful. It's America. And so... Anyway, so I get in there and, I was, had my commissary. And so once people see if you're a new person in there and you have a big bag of commissary, they start, flocking to you. Just like if, in Thailand, you walk down the street looking like you, the women, they flock to you. And so this black guy comes down to my, to my cell while the doors are, closed. He lived above me. Doors are closed. So he comes down there and he's banging on my door and he's like just trying to press me out of my food, like just on no kind of, and I had been in there about 2 to 3 weeks and I'm finally getting pressed for the first time. Mm-hmm. And he's just pressing me, just trying to essentially take my ass, He's just like, hey, you're going to this. And I'm like, I'm not going to do anything. And, so anyway, so he's like, oh, just disrespecting me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, whenever these doors pop for lunch, I'm gonna come see you. And I'm like, I'm gonna come see you first.
That's how you should say.
And so anyway, so my cellmate, shout out Nick Micken, great, wonderful guy. Anyways, he was like, listen, he's like, you've gotta, this is your proving point. I was like, all right. And then I was just trying to go through advice that Andrews gave me. Haven't seen him in, 9 years, but I'm like trying to go through advice. I'm like, okay, run in there, get close. And, my cellmate, he's like, dude, you should probably make him come down here though.
You gotta always hit them first.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna come down here. And he's like, no, you need to make them come down here. And I was like, no, fuck that. It's time to go. Valhalla. So he's like, okay, man. So anyway, so I went up, ran up to the guy selling, the doors popped open. He's sitting there by the window, and I'm just like, all right, get as close as possible. And I just charge at him, and then I'm close, and I'm up in shit for like 4 punches, and then all of a sudden, I just get hit in the back of my head. And as I turn around, I'm falling down. He has 2 other of his, people that were waiting up against the corner. And then it was just an absolute ass kicking.
But the important thing is you fought.
I fought.
That's always the important thing.
That was a great piece of advice
I've lost a lot of fights. And, I've won a lot of fights. And, it's just like the important things that you fight.
Yeah.
100%.
And I felt, after, because I felt like, man, that was just such a wonderful piece of advice from my brother. So anytime I have you, or have you around, I'm always like, okay, what can I pick from his brain this time? Because that helped me out, because I didn't want to ask, like, hey, how do I fight? I'm like, okay, just bum rush, get up close, I
don't condone violence, but in certain situations,
you
it's
have to
necessary.
go to war.
And when I was young, obviously, I had a different mindset, so I was more ignorant and aggressive. Just living in St. Louis, growing up in St. Louis, you have no way to be but aggressive.
Right.
If you don't, you're bitch made. Period. And so I was very aggressive when I was young, and still to this day, I get flares of testosterone that are left in my old man body, and I'll just be like, want to smack a motherfucker. You know what I mean? But what I was gonna say about hitting people first, in a street fight or a fight situation. First of all, a street fight you should always try to avoid in general because you don't know who's going to come up behind you. You don't know. I seen this guy that's built like a brick shit house, and he was whooping this guy. Another guy came up, sliced his calf open.
Oh my god!
And his leg was falling off from one slice. So you never know. You should avoid a street fight at all costs. In anybody who's trained in a martial art will probably tell you the same thing. You should avoid fighting, 100%. But if you have to fight, and all these inexperienced fighters are going to come out here. All these men, us as men, we build this false perception in our mind that we can just instantly fight. And that's how you can tell when somebody's never fought a day in their life. They build these false perceptions. So it's important to hit people first because they're going to come up and do the man thing where they got to have the conversation.
Right. And lead it up to it when you're
the only great thing that the hood taught me is there ain't no time for talk. We're TTG. We're trained to go. You know what I mean? You talking, you already fucked up because I'm testing that jaw, homie.
So you're saying when they come up and do all the rah-rah, you're just like, God.
Yeah, and that's how you win. Get on first. Get after it. And squabble up.
Yeah. Squabble up time. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, dude, I really always enjoy. I don't know when I'll see you again, but when I see you again, I'm gonna try and interview you, and I'll try and because I'm usually stream of consciousness, so I'm probably not the best interviewer right now. But one thing I do want to ask you before you leave, before you head out of here, so what do you think? Because I'm always like, man, what are we? And this is a very open-ended question, but I'm always like, everyone has a different meaning of life. I've battled through, just like, you're an addict in some ways, and I'm an addict. I've battled through such an addiction and gotten, sober, and life is just so good. But instead of my days going up and down, they're just like this, and I enjoy that now. But I'm always like, okay, what is this all about? And not to say just be what is life about, but to you, what do you believe it means, I guess, maybe to live life to the fullest, or what is, when you think about, what you're either meant here to do, or what is this, all about?
I think it's a gift, first and foremost, and I think it's important to be present in the moment. Power Now by Eckhart Tolle. If you haven't read that, read it. But outside of those two things, I mean, I really think like what God or your form of God or whatever consciousness you believe in or choose to trust in, it's about us being like united. Like everybody, like there's way too much separation. Yeah. And like I said before, you know, I see it more in America than I do in other countries. I mean, in Thailand, dude, like everybody, Asian, Muslim, like, I mean, and there's Muslim Asians, obviously, like I'm aware, but like, I mean, like everybody, like every different race, creed, credo, you know, Nepalese, Hindu. I mean, you couldn't believe how many other countries of different people off different continents are all in Thailand at once coexisting. And there's, you know, masjids and mosques across from Buddhist temples, and nobody talks down to everybody respects each other. People just function. It's like what America should strive to be, where we're so divided here because of like our egos. Yeah. And ego's huge for me, you know, like I think like, I mean, big part of why I was an asshole when I was young and like in the streets and doing whatever is like I didn't know who I was, and I was following my ego self, you know, my like monkey mind. And then you get to the point where if you can kill your ego, you can advance as a creature. Yeah, you know?
Yes, that is true. And ego death is great for you.
It's important. I mean, like, because I mean, it humbles you in ways. A boxing ring will also humble you. You know, I boxed a lot of my life. But yeah, I mean, definitely an ego death, man. Just like being united. I think the whole world should be united. I don't think we should treat everybody like they're brothers, like me and you. Like you, everybody should be your family. Yeah. I mean, everybody should help each other. We should have no crime in this world or on this earth. We should have no war, no crime. I mean, there's people that say they'll argue war is necessary, but I mean, if we could all get on the collective consciousness of like the same tip,
operating on the same frequency,
everybody would be okay.
I do feel like, you know, I don't know if that cure is like psychedelics, but I do feel like a lot of the world leaders like need a psychedelic experience, or they need an ego death. They just need
Everybody
it. Whenever I get up on stage and I think I have something so funny to say, and I just die on there upstage. No one's laughing. Crickets. Or like, you know, you asked me, hey, I listened to one of your podcasts, you know, and like, is it supposed to be comedy? I mean, when you said that, I mean, it was just ego death, because I thought they had been getting better, but I need that though, because I'm like, okay, I need to be better. That's what it is.
Things only your brother can say.
Yeah. So yeah, it's getting unified, collective consciousness. It's a gift to be alive.
We missed so much good comedic humor that we've already had that was not recorded. Oh my God,
yeah,
we've been
some
laughing.
of it probably isn't safe for the, you know.
Yeah, but we've been laughing almost the entire time.
I know.
Yeah. So.
What was that book? Power of Now?
Yeah, by Eckhart Tolle.
Okay, because I've been back. I'm reading the Freeway Ricky Ross autobiography right now, but I'll put that on my next one.
It's really a lot of it just teaches what like Hinduism and Buddhism is. It's like being in the present moment, and like, you know, if you look to your past, it's suffering.
Yes, it is.
Because you're like, I did this, I made this mistake, or I lost this, or whatever, you know, loved one, whatever it may be. If you look to your future, you're wasting the time of your life right now, and you'll all of a sudden be in your future, and you missed your life. So, like, being present fully in the moment, day to day, which is how a lot of Thai people live, and which I admire. But, like, yeah, just being fully present in your moment, day to day, and, like, realizing that like you're having experiences and actually living your life and documenting it in your little human goop computer,
whatever it is up there floating around.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks for letting me, you know, interview you. Hopefully I can, you know, I'll improve, and, you know, next time will be good also. Is there anything else you want to say, or any final words, or anything you want to plug, or, you know, whatever?
No, not really. I mean, check out Drews_Graham. That's the Instagram. You'll see a lot of debauchery.
Yeah, a lot of debauchery.
There is food stuff on there. You just got to look for it.
Yeah. And Rick Owens. Shout out Rick Owens.
Shout out Rick Owens. I'm a hoe for Rick Owens. Yeah. Like, this is my favorite brand. I've been into it since like 2016, 2018. And, yeah, it's a great brand. I'd buy it if it was at Walmart.
Yeah, that's it. That's important. That's important to if you're gonna buy a designer item, that's what my wife really into that. But she's like, you before you buy it, you need to love it. And that's what I would equate that to. Like if you'd buy it if it was on a Walmart shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, thanks, brother. I love you. Hopefully I see you sooner than 9 years.
Love you.
God bless you. If you have an email you'd like to send it to chickennoodlepodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you have any way you think this podcast could be better, you just let me know. Shoot me an email. God bless you.